I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Phil Beck with the Professional Painter and Decorator, and I'm carrying on. This is a follow-on video from using the Dulux Trade UniPrimer to prime these bathroom cabinets up. Hope you can see me with the sun, it's lovely outside. That had 2 coats. I used that with a brush and a roller, but now we're coming to the stage where we're actually painting these and we're finishing it with, can you see that? We've got Intact 8 from Tikkurila. Now this is a hard wearing water-based finish that can be used on kitchen cabinets and things like that, so it's ideal for this situation. I've got that made up into a Farrow & Ball colour as near as possibly we can. Farrow & Ball, what is it, FB27, which is perma grey, I believe, perma grey. So that's what it's made up to, as near as damn it. It doesn't have to be an exact match, but something similar. And what we are doing, we're using the, can you see me? We're using the Quick Shot. We've got a 210 spray tip, so that's a fine finish spray tip. I've got the paint made up. I've put a small amount of water in it just to make it spray a little bit easier. I have tried it and it sprays nicely. And we have got it on the setting of number 5. So if you can just make out that, I don't know whether you can, we've got setting number 5, which is really the universal spray. There, yeah, you can see me. It's the universal one for this Quick Shot. Brilliant bit of kit. If you've not got one, get one. It's very handy for doing stuff like this. It's £1,000 well worth spent, because you will get the money back, no problem. Right, we're going to make this a quick video. You're not going to be seeing me speaking for 20 minutes because we're going to be doing stuff. I'll just put that down there. Let's try and get the sun a bit better on me. What I've done, I've turned the unit over because I'm going to spray the underside first and get all these little legs done. I'm going to give it 1 coat on the back because it doesn't need to have multiple coats on the back. I'm going to also spray the top of the actual cabinets, which you can probably see there. That's the top, just there where the tin is. I'll get that all done, and then I will flip it over and do all the traditional, I will say traditional, focus on me, traditional bits, the backs and the sides and the faces. Now, when you work on these cabinets, you've got a little bit of fallout. You might have a little bit of fallout, so do the flat bottoms first and work your way around the sides, and you'll get the idea. Once you've got 1 coat on, you'll know how it's actually working. So I'm going to be doing this underside here first. I'll spray the back down part way, then flip it over. It's a quick drying product, so I'm expecting this with the sun. I'm outside, it'll dry within about 10-15 minutes, so there'll be no problems with actually touching it after about half an hour. Then after a couple of hours, I'll give it another coat and finish them off. Nib down in between with a fine Merca Gold Flex or something similar, just to get any last little bits that might just settle in from the air, particularly when you're working outside. Unfortunately, I don't have a spray booth, not yet anyway. But I do have a mask. If you want to know a little bit more about this mask that I've had for the last 35 years, clearly the filters have been changed over that period of time, but the body of the mask is about 30 odd years old. This is a Sunstrom SR100, and there'll be a link over my left shoulder, your right hand of the screen. So I'm going to set the camera up so you can see me spraying. I'll have the mask on, and I'll just be quite quick with this to get this first coat on. It's a 210 spray tip, so it's got a smallish orifice. The paint has been thinned accordingly to get through that. If your paint's too thick, you might need to go an orifice size up, like a 312 or something, or a 14. If you want to know about spray tips, please look in that video just there, that'll explain it. So yeah, let's get going. Let's move this tin out of the way and let's start spraying.
Transformation in 3, 2, 1. transformation in 3, 2, 1.
Bring the camera over, you see what I did there. I went down the back, I've gone across the top, and I've done the flats underneath. I'm going to let that dry off before I flip it over, and then I'll do exactly the same. I'll spray it up. Now that 210 is quite a big orifice. I will say my final coats, what I'll probably do is drop down to something a bit smaller, probably an 08 for the last final waft coats, but it seems fine. If you are doing spraying and you think the orifice size is a little bit too big, you can always, don't forget, you can always just thicken your paint up a little bit more. But for what I've done here, I'm quite happy with it. And oh, my backdrop's blown away. I will let that dry in the sun, and then we'll swivel it over and we'll get a bit more done. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in a little while. Just carrying on now with the other units that have got a spray. I've dropped down to the 208 spray tip, which seems a lot better. I can work quickly with it. I can get a nice coat across it. And this Intact 8 actually dries really quick. I've got just down there on the, well, you can't see it on camera, some of the backs of the doors that I'm doing, and they're virtually dry, and they've only been about 10 minutes. So let's crack on, and I'll see you when I've completed them. Well, there we have it, everybody. I'm outside in my temporary studio. I've sprayed that with the Quick Shot. I clearly dropped down to that 208 spray tip. It was a lot better to spray with a finer spray. Just make sure your paint's thick enough or thin enough for the spray tip that you're using. And another top tip Tuesday I'm going to give you is, with that Quick Shot, you want to be on setting number 5 for the power. Now, just be careful you don't catch it and do what I accidentally did when I was spraying one of these sides. It was spraying at number 10. And I thought, this is swallowing paint. And then I quickly looked and I thought, blinking heck, it needs turning down. So turn it back down to 5, and that 208 spray tip was lovely. All my insides have had a good decent 2 coats, because the spray tip that I started with was the 210, so that puts a little bit more paint on. I knew that I'd got a nice even coverage and opacity with that, but finishing off I've gone to that 208. Now the 208 gives a finer finish. So once I'd got a coat on everything, I gave it a nib down. The sun's out, it dries nicely. The Intact 8 dries really quick, it sands nicely. So what I did, once that first coat was on, I gave it a nib down, dusted it all off. If you've got a tack rag or you've got a damp microfiber cloth just to take any residue dust off, you can do. But then I went all over the outsides, tops of the drawer units, across the top, the cabinet there, it all had another coat. Now once I'd done, there was a couple of little creeps of runs, which I wasn't worried about because they're on the sides, and when it was dry I gave them a fine sand out, and then just for the final waft coat I went over all the main areas that could get caught, and I've gave it a nice even coat with that Quick Shot and the 208. Now I'm going to give you a bit of advice. When you are working with these, just be conscious of the overspray dust that you might get, particularly in these areas inside. Now, you will get a bit of bounce back and it will fall onto the shelf unit. So what are you going to do? A couple of options. You either spray the shelf unit, the flats first, so it's always a wet finish for any overspray to fall on, or you do everything you possibly can and then come back to the inside flats when it's all dry and just quickly waft over those as well. And another tip I'm going to say to you, make sure you get that overlap of that 50-50. You really want a nice wet coat that's going on, because these are as they've dried now, that wet coat has actually given it a very nice finish. Intact 80 is a proper flatter eggshell finish. If you don't put enough on, it will look very dry, and probably it will feel to the touch that you've not put enough paint on. So make sure you've got a good overlap with a wet paint finish. Sounds a bit of an oxymoron, but you'll know what I mean if you put a first coat on and then think to yourself, I don't think I've put enough on. Make sure you're overlapping it properly on a 50-50. That gives you that nice build up of paint. And this is what I've got on here. So I'm going to bring you in and let's have a closer look. So this is what I was saying. If you look up there, I've given that a coat. I did that because I turned it upside down. These sides are nice. The tops are nice and smooth. These all here, there's a little bit of sitting because obviously something's been spilt at some stage, but you won't see it. They've got a door on this cabinet there. That's got the mirror front and my shelf units, which will go in, and the door front are all nicely coated up as well. Using that UniPrimer, the Aqua UniPrimer from Dulux, is held off any tanning that has started to see on these edges. I'm not seeing anything on there now. I can't tell you how tactile that Intact 80 is. Intact 8 is. It's really nice finish. It's like a factory finish. And again, I've not got a spray booth. I've been spraying outside. These raw shelf units got a lovely finish there, very even in colour coverage. There's no patchiness. And then the actual bathroom cabinet, that's very nice as well. Again, these sides have all had that extra light waft of paint, not particularly a heavy coat, but it's all come up well. I think the customer's going to be over the moon with that. So there we have it. I'm going to say, if there's any videos that come up at the end, please support the channel, clicking those and watching them. Also, if you are buying me a coffee, much appreciated. And also, if you are doing me super thanks, which is just in the banner thing below, you see it. I'm also going to say to you, people who are buying via the Amazon Associates account that have got the link in the description below, thank you very much. I've said times many, I don't get any sponsorship. I don't get any money from these companies that are on Amazon. It is more of a case that Amazon just gives me a small percentage if anybody purchases via my Amazon associate links. So saying that, thank you very much. Any questions, just ask. This video is all about the spraying with the Quick Shot using Intact 8 from Tikkurila. And also, I have to say, I'm quite impressed with how that Dulux Trade UniPrimer, the Aqua UniPrimer, has actually been as a base coat, i.e. primer and undercoat for this Intact 8. So see you on the next one. Thank you.